What is going on, guys? Valky here. Epic 7 has just dropped their trailer for the Origins update. Now, I don't know how much of you guys remember, but it almost feels like maybe about a span of 2 years, there were a lot of features for the game plan that has just been pushed back, and everything has been unleashed on us tonight. Along with that, we have Hero Selector for limited units, as well as a 5-star Artifact Selector ticket. On top of that, we'll also be getting a bunch of 5-star Hero and Artifact ticket, and we will also be getting 2 5-star Moonlight Summon ticket, one for light unit and one for dark units, all the way up until Harsetti. So that is a whole lot of content, but we all know why we're here. We're here for the selectors. As always, whenever we do get a huge wave of selectors, I want to put out the most up-to-date and recent guides for you guys. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Now, along with the 2x Moonlight 5-star tickets, there will be a custom Mystic banner going live when you see this video, which means you will be able to choose any ML5 as your summon target. So we're here to talk about how good each Moonlight unit is currently in the ecosystem of Epic 7 PvP. Do keep in mind that the content is PvP focused around Arena, Guild War, but most of all RTA, where you will find the toughest of all challenges. The tiers, I have them divided up, are S tier, which these characters, you will use them everywhere. Offense teams, defense teams, RTA, you're going to see these characters all the time, and they're always going to be very strong. A tier, you'll use them a lot, but definitely not everywhere, and a lot of times you'll probably even see a good chunk of these characters on defense teams on top of playing them all the time in RTA. B tier is, you can use them quite a bit. They have a good amount of places they belong in. C tier, you can try to use them, but I would say most of the time you're picking them, there's probably a better character you can pick, but there's still a few use cases where these characters can be the best at their job. D tier is going to be, you'll have a hard time using them. You'd have to really love these characters to be playing them, or something similar to that effect. And finally, 2 new or collaborations. So Ainz, for example, is a collab unit, and the Natalon Academy characters are just 2 new. Can't pick them off the Mystic banner. Now, starting out with S tier is New Moon Luna, pretty much the most oppressive ML5 in the game, since she is able to seal 4 characters passive with a single button click. Seal locks up a character's passive, which is huge, since passive abilities are a lot of ways characters cheat value while other characters are taking turns. Besides that, Luna's second ability deals a lot of AoE fixed damage scaling to her HP. Considering that she has extremely high base HP and speed, this makes her quite a threat even in scenarios where her ultimate isn't even that good. See, Phantom Politis is a top 3 opener support in the game, and at this point you guys already know, supports in turn-based games are known to be the most OP since they can do a little bit of everything, and see Phantom Politis is no exception. She gives stats, controls the enemy, but also outputs quite a bit of damage herself via dual attacks when she has set up her buffs. Urban Shadowshoe is the best damage dealer in the entire list. Know that I don't say she deals the most damage, but she is the best due to how safe she is to play. That's thanks to her exclusive equipment, giving her stealth every turn, combining that with a bulky build since she scales from HP, and the fact that she has access to the sweet Miracle artifact as a warrior. She can be an extremely strong menace, beating squishy teams with her natural damage and tanky teams with injury. Abyssal Euphine is the most flexible damage dealer in the game as she has multiple viable builds. You can even play her as a tank. She is top tier with any of these builds due to her passive counterattacks, but more importantly, 50% cut to any combat readiness gained, which you can just think of as speed. She cuts enemy speed by 50% if they try to use skills to chain their turns together. Those 2 utilities alone can make her a nightmare to deal with for any cleave or aggressive players. Death Dealer Ray is arguably the most hated unit on this list since he single-handedly ruined competitive E7 for a year and a half. Now, he has too many hard counters, but he still manages to hold on to a top tier spot, so you can imagine how strong he was back in his heyday. He has the distinct honor of not only being a debuffer and a damage unit in one, but he makes everyone on his team deal damage as well. Empyrean Ilanav has the distinguished passive of having penetration resistance built in. Over a third of the units on this list will either have defense penetration damage or use some sort of penetration gear set or artifact. Automatically denying them damage is good, but she also deals a lot of injury damage, which is always welcome versus tanky opponents. After that, we got Harsetti. I mean, she's the most toxic character in the game since she not only equalizes speed on all characters, but she also shuffles their turn order if she's slow enough, nullifying a huge part of character building in a turn-based game. So I personally don't like her, but depending on whether or not you have speed, she's either the worst or best unit in the game for you. Bellion's passive denies souls, and she's a bruiser knight. Soul burning is one of the most important mechanics in the game, which allows for extremely aggressive playmaking. So you can imagine denying that from an opponent has kept her top tier for about 3 years and ongoing. Do keep in mind that she needs the limited artifact 3F to really shine, but with the upcoming class summon system, Smougate is promising us we get a native version of 3F, so we no longer need to rely on a collaboration for her to be good. And as you guys see, every single unit in S tier is oppressive in some way that is really important to disrupting your opponent's game plan. Just having a few of these guys give you the room to flex on your opponent's strategy when it comes to shutting them out. I recommend picking up as many of them as possible, but if you have a few, you're looking good. At the top of A tier characters, Fallen Cecilia is there not because she is good right now. She's actually getting a buff when this video is 1 week old. In fact, she has not been good for a long time, but back in the old days, she used to be one of the best characters at denying damage. Once she gets her buff, she will be denying fixed damage, and you'll see that in characters like New Moon Luna, Urban Shadow Shu, 3F Bellion, Archdemon Shadow, Fairy Tail Solitaria, Young Senya, Tori Dragon King Shirun, and there's so many characters that just do additional fixed damage. So for a tank to have an over-encompassing defensive passive that covers half the meta roster, oh boy, I wonder if that's going to be OP. Blood Moon Haste is still the best reviver in the game. If you already have most or all of the top tier character and you're looking to pick up a reviver, I'd say he's your guy, because not only is he a reviver, he's a tank and a nuker all in one. I think that's enough said. Zio's passive basically lets him cheat out 20% speed, which means you're guaranteed the first turn in a turn-based game. I mean, that by itself sounds pretty OP. His drawback is that he's not exactly good unless you know the combos that he should be played with and play him in those combos. So he is a combo and cleave character only. Navy Captain Landy was the best DPS character in the entire game. She hasn't been doing so well since Afternoon So Flawn's release, just being able to shut her down so easily with guaranteed critical hits. Before that, she would just sit there, counterattack, extra attack, counterattack, extra attack. Oh hey, look, full fighting spirit, big ship, go! Very satisfying to play, but now she's really only played versus cleave compositions or you put her on a defense team. She's still very much a threat there, but she's got a little bit of ways to go since her heyday. Archdemon Shadow got a huge buff with her exclusive equipment, and now she's a nightmare to deal with if you're not prepared to deal with seals and dual attacks, which are huge utility for any support character. And those are only her auto attack skill 1. She does a bit more if you literally only play her for those 2 utilities, she is already excellent at being a damage support. Eternal Wanderer Ludwig is the best cleave DPS in the entire game. If you're new, you can imagine a cleave team being a B-49 bomber, and Ludwig is its best payload. I guess that makes him the best nuke in the game, huh? Ambitious Tywin is a tank, but he fell off a little bit. His main gimmick is that he can cleanse debuffs and be a tank 2-in-1, allowing you to save a team slot for 1 unit, which is a huge advantage in RTA. As you can imagine, saving a team slot for the draft is a big boon. In the right meta, that is very OP, but in the current meta, there is just a little bit too much damage for him to handle, but I still think he's a solid tank with good team building, combos, and options. Dragon Bright Senya is a tank, a cleanser, a nuker, and a baddie all in one. She's fallen off a little bit, mainly due to characters like Urban Shadow Shu being able to counter her, becoming S tier, and holding down strong spots in the meta, so there's not going to be many spots to play her. She is still very strong though, and there are a lot of combos you can play with her. Requiem Rowana is a disruptor and a damage dealer 2-in-1, and her main gimmick is that she copies the speed of one of your other characters. I would say she is a must-have if you are a fast player, but you can go ahead and ignore her if you're slow. Solitaria used to be a must-have due to the power of Afternoon So Flawn and Urban Shadow Shu, since her main gimmick is that she can easily shut down focus characters. There are slightly more answers to those units now, so she gets dropped down comfortably to A tier. She's still a good automatic answer to those characters, but you can solve the problems in other ways, as in other RGB units, cheaper units, easier to get units, so you don't have to have her. I'm sure you guys see, A tier has a lot of important characters that still solve huge problem units in the game, but due to one unit or another, they're not the only answer, so they can be replaced. Okay, so going after this, I'm not going to go super in depth to other characters, but we'll go over them really quickly. In B tier, and you'll still use these characters fairly often: Conqueror Lilius, Dragon King Sharoon, Arbiter Vildred, Last Rider Crow, Ruel of Light, Briarwitch Iseria, Pirate Captain Flan, Sage Ball and Saison, and Silverblade Aramintha. If you want to hear me talk about any of these characters in depth, I suggest you hit up one of the earlier videos where I go into an RTA tier list, where I should be able to cover most of these, and if you need build guides on these, you guys know you can find them either in the Discord Heroes catalog or in the short section on the YouTube channel. In C tier, these are the characters that still do one or two jobs super well, but most of the time they can be replaced: Designer Lilibet, Faithless Lidica, Little Queen Charlotte, Remnant Violet, Sylvan Sage Vivian, Top Model Luluka, Specimen Says, Martial Artist Ken, Spirit Eye Celine, Astromancer Elena, Desert Jewel Bassard, Closer Charles, Apocalypse Ravi, Lone Crescent Bellona, Spectre Tenebria, Strays, and Architect Leica. And lastly, you're gonna have a hard time using these guys, but you probably could if you tried, and these characters are Twisted Idol and Kayron, Lionheart Sermia, Operator Sigrid, Commander Pavel, Maid Chloe, Judge Kisei, and finally, Dark Corvus. With that being said, guys, that is going to be the updated Mystics custom banner guide. I hope you guys found it helpful, and if you did, make sure to give the video a like and subscribe if you want to see guides similar to this one or other RTA guides. Before I send you guys out the door with the formalities, make sure you guys check out the latest video I put out on the channel, the one right before this one. This is probably the most effort I've ever put in an Epic 7 video, and I would appreciate it if you guys gave it a look. I think a lot of you guys will find it pretty fun to watch. With that being said, when you guys are watching this video right as it comes out, I should be doing the Box Bootcamp for TFT in set 14. So make sure you guys drop by twitch.tv/Valky to say hi. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. We got a whole lot of content coming up soon, and it's gonna be a good time. Have a good one, guys. See ya.